Are you in a good place financially? Things are okay. You're not having to pinch pennies and feeling that restriction. That's actually a very dangerous spot to be. And in this episode today, we're going to talk about the biggest financial expense you're missing and what you need to do because it's actually a really simple switch. It just doesn't feel urgent, so it doesn't get done. So here we go. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Aimee Cerka. We are talking about the biggest financial expense you are missing. And I've seen this come up in client conversations and networking conversations repeatedly in the last 6 weeks. So this needed to be talked about. Okay. So if you're in a place that you don't have to pinch pennies, you're not feeling that restrictiveness, you're in an okay place, right? You're in a good place financially. That's really gonna be the sweet spot. That's what we're talking to right now. And I'm betting that's most of you because you're doing good, you're hustling, you got the things going for you, right? Yes, we always want to do better, but things are okay. We're kind of handling it. Within your finances, when it doesn't matter so much, like if you're not trying to make sure you can make ends meet and keep the lights on, most people tend to kind of let things slide. I'm not saying that you need necessarily to spend less. Like you don't have to go back to restrictive spending. That's not what I'm advocating for at all, because I don't think that you need to be restrictive with your spending, especially if you have the money not to be restrictive with your spending. And there can be times and places where you're pushing for this thing, you're saving for a vacation, you want to knock out a piece of debt, which yes, we'll focus on our net worth. Yes, you can still knock out debt. Those types of seasons, or maybe you had a really high annual expenses. Those are the unexpected expenses that come up that you have to pay for yearly, quarterly, any of those things. Okay. There can be seasons where you have to be a little more tight and a little more restrictive, but how much you're spending and or receiving is irrelevant to what we're talking about today. Okay. The thing that you're missing and that you're letting slide because you're not paying attention to it is the tracking, is the budgeting, the money management system, if budget's a 4-letter word for you. Now, just because you have a budget, like using a tracking system like Mint or YNAB, or which is you need a budget, any of those, you can have that in place, but that's the first step. That's not even really tracking. That just gives you the illusion of tracking almost, because you're not doing anything with the data really. Okay. But if you are not keeping track of these things, there's so many things that are going to happen. Okay. You don't know what you're really spending. You will not catch fraud. You will not catch double charges. You will not know where things are actually at, what you can spend, what you should spend. There is no awareness of where the numbers are. And you don't have to be a numbers person. That's perfectly fine. It's not that big of a deal, but we need to have the system in place. So you've got 3 options. Okay. Actually, before we get to your options, let's talk about how often, bare minimum, ideal minimum, somewhere in there. Okay. So bare minimum, you got to do this once a month. Then we're going to talk about your business too here in a second. But that really applies here as well. You really need to look at these things once a month. And I don't want to call it a money date, because dating implies you're trying to impress somebody and all of those things. No, you're the CEO, you're showing up, you're in charge. This is an employee report, a check-in. It's not a money date. Just, can we stop using that terminology? I probably should make a separate episode on why the phrase money dates just drives me absolutely crazy, because it's not a date. That's not the intention. Okay, let me know on Instagram if I need to go on down the rabbit hole in another episode about why I don't like money dates, or the phrasing money dates, and why I don't feel like it's serving you. It's not just this personal preference. Yes, I like to date my husband. I don't have anything against dating. It's money dates is just, that does not work. That does not serve you. Please stop. Let me know on Instagram at Aimee Cerka. But The point is, we have to be doing these monthly check-ins, we can call them. I call it month end, is when I do my check-in once a month. That's like my bare minimum, okay? But ideally, I want you to do this once a week. It doesn't have to take long. The idea of setting this process up is a lot more overwhelming than actually doing it, okay? Which is why I've actually made the done for you services, like where I help you do this or I do it for you, available to non-Academy members. Because it used to be you had to be a part of the Money Mastery Academy to be able to access this. Okay, but this is what you need, right? This is where we're at. So I've opened up some spots. We'll get to that in a minute with the 3 steps, right? But the idea of setting it up is a lot more intensive. Like takes all the stress and the brain power, everything like out of it. I'm sorry, there takes a lot more to get it set up than once it's actually going. So if I can help you get it set up and then you can take the reins and go, that's fantastic. Maybe not a great business plan, like long term, I have to keep finding clients. There's not like that repetitive income in there for me, but I know that you're empowered and that's my goal. And the more people we can impact, the better, right? But you have to make the time to do these, even if you're not in a place to be restrictive. The ideal minimum is weekly. That's why we have the weekly check-in. Now, honestly, I do mine daily because I am in a relationship conversational. I am continually working to up-level my mindset, up-level my relationship with money, up-level all of those things, right? So we have it set up that I do it daily. It's really Monday through Friday, but you know what? It's there. And I have these systems, these hacks, these strategies in place to help me do it. But at a minimum, it's weekly. And then if you don't have weekly, you have the monthly to fall back on them. So like your bare minimum is please do this monthly. This is also why Execution Lab is available to all clients so that we can come do the work together, like make it fun, schedule the time that we need to do. Okay. Now on the business side, okay, first off, if you don't know where things are at, there's a lack of confidence there. It might not even be something that you like are fully aware of, but you're not showing up because you don't know, like, okay, do I have what income have I made? What expenses have I spent? Those things. We can go back to the fraud. We can go back to the double transactions. All those things still show up. But in business, if you're selling out of desperation because you just got to hit this income goal, right? That doesn't work. People can feel that. So take care of the numbers, know where you're at, then just have the confidence to move forward. And you might be saying, okay, well, I don't need like a bookkeeper yet, or I don't have enough time on my plate. And again, we're going to get to your 3 action steps in a minute, or your 3 options here in a minute. But you have to know where these things are at. And we're just talking about the financial numbers here. I would also argue this would apply to the non-financial numbers as well. That might be another episode for another day. But like, if you aren't doing this, you are costing yourself money. Missing transactions. It's also statistically proven that the average person overspends $7,500 each year by not having a budget in place. That's just on the personal side. So that doesn't even apply to your business and things that you don't necessarily need that you bought out of emotion because there's a lot of different factors in there. That $7,500 number is also like about 2-3 years old. So inflation, I'm betting I need to get the updated statistic. I don't know. If I had to ballpark it, I probably would say looking at inflation closer to 10,000, but we'll just stick with 7,500 because I can take a vacation with my family of 6 for $7,500. Okay. Like that's a decent amount. So just know where you're at. Like, yeah. Okay. And if you're not a numbers person or you're like, I just don't have time for this, then you get help, right? So your 3 options is keep like losing money. I don't know how else to word this. Like keep doing what you're doing, take this and be like, thanks, I got this. Like I'm good. Don't believe you, Aimee. You're crazy. Whatever you want to say, not a big enough problem. I'm not going to fix this now. Okay. That's like option 1. Option 2, you hear me and you're like, you know what, you're right. Like, I need to get this done. And you make the time to do it yourself. Now, if you can do it and you're happy about it, you enjoy doing it, great. If it's taking time off your plate that you don't have, or it's a frustration and a struggle and you don't enjoy the numbers and you just need somebody else to do it for you, then let's talk about option 3. So option 3 is let me support you. Okay. And depending on where you're at, is what information you need. So what I'll do is I'm just going to put a link in the show notes to book a discovery call with me. Okay. Just a quick call. We'll talk about where you're at, where you could possibly be looking for support, and where you've got it handled and you're doing fantastic. Okay. Call me crazy. Option 1, option 2, do it yourself. And if you can do it yourself, all the power to you. I just want you to succeed. So it doesn't matter. If you don't need my support, go for it. Great. I want you to be successful. But I've seen time and time again, when we get the support, then we move forward faster. All right. So I'd love to have a conversation with you. That link's going to be in the show notes. It should be aimeecerka.com/discovery. But just check the link in the show notes. We've talked today about being in a good place financially. And when you're in a good place financially is where we kind of let some of those things that we did when money was really tight, where we were like pinching pennies and those things, that we let them go because it doesn't feel as urgent. And we have so many things that are calling for our attention. So by prioritizing and knowing where you're at with the numbers, both personally and on your business side, not just tax time, that is going to help you move forward. And if you've got a bookkeeper, fantastic. If you're doing the things that you need to, if your spouse does the numbers, I just want you to be aware of where things are at and feel confident just being able to look at the numbers. We remove the emotion from it. And that's really what I do with a lot of the coaching portion is I give you all the step-by-step strategy. You can go do that. I give it a lot to it. I give you a lot of it here, but the coaching, if you're struggling with the emotion portion, that's where the coaching comes in. And then just let's talk. Let's get on the discovery call. But this was a little bit more of a rant today. It's important to me. And I hate hearing like, okay, well, we don't have to be in a restrictive place. So I'm not really doing this. I'm not looking at the numbers. I'm not a numbers person. I just don't have the time for it. Or really the biggest one is like, we're doing okay. Like we don't have to do that budget thing. Please stop. You're costing yourself so much money. All right. I'm going to stop rambling. That is it for this week. Let me know. Send me a message on Instagram. Shoot me a text message. I want to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from this week's episode? We'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. Wondering what's next? When you're ready, there are different levels of support that you can use on the path to creating unstoppable finances and your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique and your support should be too. Ultimately, we'll create a customized plan to ditch financial struggle for good that works for you, your goals, your priorities, your life. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of our most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what your next step should be.